Good morning on this glorious Sunday morning. Finally a day without humidity. So, I want to speak about something that's been bothering me and connected to this week's Torah portion. This week we had a vote in Congress that had to state the obvious fact that Israel's not an apartheid state. And 9 people voted against it in the entire Congress. And one of them was our own Congresswoman, Ayanna Pressley, who consistently votes against Israel in the most horrific ways. And for the past 6 years, the Jewish Community Relations Council of Boston has been saying, we want to work behind the scenes to get her closer and to win her over, while constantly she has proven the opposite. And they won't criticize her in public. And even this time after the vote, they haven't said a word. They managed to criticize the Supreme Court and the right, and they're not ready to do it, which is shocking. I want to connect it to this week's Torah portion that we just read on Shabbat. And I spoke about this in Shul, because it's a remarkable time. Deuteronomy starts when the Jews are on the cusp of going into the Holy Land. And Moses is reminiscent on the past 40 years and all that had gone through, teaching the Jews to learn from their mistakes, rebuking them a little bit, giving them love, and telling them what lies ahead of them and how they could be the strongest people in the land of Israel. But then Moses recounts to them how the Jewish people were about ready to go into the Holy Land. And they were on the Transjordan. And God tells them, and Moses recounts this, you're about to pass through the land of Seir, which some will call Edom. And they're scared of you, they're intimidated by you. But God warns the Jews, don't touch their land, because I won't even give you 1 foot of their land. And in fact, God says if you want food or drink, buy it for them at the highest price. Don't take anything from them. And then we continue. And they come to the southeast of the Dead Sea. And God says you're going to pass by the land of Ammon, the people of Ammon. And don't touch their land, because I won't give it to you either. And if you want food or drink, you have to buy it for them. And then the Jews go further. And they come to what today is Jordan. By the southeast of the Dead Sea, who was the nation of Moab, of course. I confused it. And then they come to where today Jordan is. And God tells them the same thing about Ammon. You're coming to the nation of Ammon. They might be fearful. Don't touch their land. I won't give it to you, because I've already given it to the people of Ammon. And the question is, why is it relevant for Moses to give us the details of this? Like the Torah is a book of moral discussions, of moral lessons. Why would the Torah tell us this? And the truth is, Moshe's words are both shocking and stunning, and speak of moral clarity. In 1980, 43 years ago, the Rebbe gave a talk to children of all people. And he said, why does the Torah tell us this? And he said, the answer is so powerful. Because when there'll come a day when the United Nations and the International Court and the State Department and the White House and the President, and sometimes even Jewish leaders, will lecture morality to the Jews. They'll tell them you're occupiers. They'll tell them you're an apartheid state. And you know what will answer them? You're going to tell us about morality? You're going to tell us 2,000 years before Islam was even thought of, the Jewish people in the desert, 1273 BCE, when people were still worshipping, steeped in idolatry, and serving their children as sacrifices to idolatry, when cannibalism was all over the world, when people were giving their children to fanticide, killing their weak baby children, when people were immoral, didn't know right from wrong. The Torah was teaching us, and Moses was telling the Jewish people, you cannot take what's not yours. This land was given to Seir, to Esau. This land was given to the Moabites. This land was given to the Ammonites. And the Jews knew when they came into the land of Israel that yes, they couldn't touch those lands. But everything from the Mediterranean to the Jordan River was given by them, by God to them. And it's theirs rightfully so. To call Israel occupiers of Judea and Samaria or East Jerusalem is akin to calling France occupiers of Paris, or England occupiers of London. In fact, every single nation, how did they become a nation? People came and they conquered the land of its indigenous people, and they took it to themselves. The only people that have a moral clarity to their land, that God, in the Bible, who 2 billion people believe in the Bible, gave them the land is the Jewish people. Yet people come and they preach morality to us. And it's our job to stand up and say, don't lecture us about morality. Look who's talking. This past week, President Herzog spoke at the joint session of Congress. And it was moving. And it was both hailed by the right and the left in Israel. And he speaks about how in 1980, 43 years ago, him and his wife, Michal, pregnant with her first baby, listened to his own father speak from that same place. And how touching it was for him. And he spoke about Harry Truman's grandson, Truman Daniel, who's the eldest grandson, and a letter that he penned this May 14, speaking about how Harry Truman recognized the state of Israel only 11 minutes after it declared, and how Eddie Jacobson, his lifelong friend, the impact he had on him. And he says a story how in 1949, President Herzog's grandfather, the first chief rabbi of Israel, came to visit Harry Truman and told Harry Truman the biblical words that Jeremiah says in his prophecy, before you were born and you were in your mother's womb, I had planned for you to be the prophet. And Rabbi Herzog turns to Truman, he says, before you were born, God had destined you to be the one to save the Jewish people and to help them to clear their right to self-determination. You will be remembered like the Cyrus of our times and go down in the annals of Jewish history. And that is when Truman Daniel says his grandfather started crying. He says, people only saw my grandfather cry 3 times. When his press secretary and dear friend died, when Eddie Jacobson died, and when Chief Rabbi Herzog told him this. These are the moving words. And President Herzog stood there in front of Congress and says, we don't mind criticism. But when people want to question our right to existence and our self-determination, that we won't accept. My friends, JCRC and CJP and our leaders have to stand up for us and have to call out a bigot like Ayanna Pressley for what she is, calling Israel an apartheid state, the only democracy in the Middle East. And we have to remember as Jews never to let anyone preach to us about morality, because there is no people that are more moral than the Jewish people, that protect the rights of minorities, that are so careful never to bomb or to hurt anyone, that are so careful when they go fight to protect the citizens, to always protect these people. May Hashem give us that we should have the strength and the morality to be proud Jews and to learn from Moses' words as the Rebbe taught us so powerfully. God bless you.